and Stephen Hurdle are with us. They are with the Pittsburgh Coalition of Reason, and they are part of an organization that's filed a lawsuit in federal court against Port Authority. I'm going to give you a theory about what I think the Port Authority is doing in a moment. Please remind me about my theory, please. Seriously, I forget. But I do. Let's talk about this claim, and I already summarized it. Port Authority initially accepts the ad that we showed in 2011. They backed off later on, said didn't comply with the ad policy, which I read, and it's pretty much in its entirety. You claim the Port Authority violated the organization's free speech rights under the First Amendment to the Constitution, specifically asserting that the First Amendment prohibits the Port Authority as a governmental entity, that's why I referenced it earlier, from using its disfavor of the non-theistic message of your organization's ad as a reason for refusing to run. In other words, they don't believe in non-believers or the secularists, and therefore they don't accept it. Now, that language that I read is broad enough to continue, to have them at least make that argument. My question is that speech? Is that First Amendment speech, or is it a paid advertisement? I don't know if it's speech. I think it's a cattle call for an organization that wants to create awareness. I don't say cattle call in a disrespectful way, just by way of the words came to mind. You're looking to create awareness of an organization. You're paying for that. Is that speech? Well, you got all the free speech you want here tonight.
We would have to have a lawyer address this, and neither one of us are lawyers. But what the lawyers say that when you decide to have advertising on your bus, then, and you have a certain type of advertising, then you have to open it up to others. You couldn't have, say, give ads to the Republican Party, and then later the Democratic Party wants to come and give ads, and you say, no, we don't do ads from the Democrats. We only do ads from the Republicans. That would not be appropriate, particularly for the Port Authority, which is a quasi-public entity. And so when they put ads, and right now they're putting ads for a concert at a church, for a Lenten dinner, those ads have been running for the past 2 years. A number of ads.
Again, if I want to take their place, and so the audience is aware, we requested somebody from the Port Authority. Right. They're not speaking.
They're not speaking.
I could fit anything in that language that I read. I could fit the inconsistency that you see. Here's my theory, though.
Right.
My theory is, in light of what's happened in other jurisdictions, in other court venues, that the Port Authority would prefer to be told that by the court than to have to make the decision on its own.
Well, actually, they've already been told that in another case that happened a couple of years ago with the League of Young Voters. So, to me, that's a question mark as to why they didn't perhaps even reform their policy as a result of that case, because the policy that they had at the time was quite a long-lasting one. And the other thing that I question is that, they're, one, not being consistent with who they allow to advertise. So if they allow religious groups to advertise, then why not us? But the other thing that I question is just that, why they're being discriminatory. Because they changed the policy shortly after, just a few months after they rejected our ads. And they made it very clear by mentioning 3 times in the new policy that lack of religion would not be included in, the themes that they wish to cover. So I think it's pretty clear that they're trying to exclude us. And in the first policy, they even say that it's intended to be an objective standard, as you read, but all of the things that they list there, if you look, are things that if you ask people, you get a myriad opinions about.
That's what I meant.
So it's very, it's very expandable, and leaves a lot of leeway.
You're looking at a lawyer. That's what you're paid to do. You don't want it to be rigid. You want it to be flexible and dynamic and fluid and argue from every different angle. That's exactly how I would write it.
However, that's not objective.
Well, it may or may not be, depending on who the judge is. Now, I do want to point out this, and it's an interesting point, this thing about speech versus paid advertisement. I publish a newspaper. I would have the right to accept or not accept your advertising, but I'm not a governmental agency. That's where the rub is, I suspect. Mm-hmm. That's why there's been success in Philadelphia and other jurisdictions. Is that correct?
That would, again, we're not lawyers, but that would be my guess. And I think the bottom line is what we're trying to do with this ad is to let the community know that we're out there and that we would like to be treated with dignity, with respect, like everyone else. And in a sense, the Port Authority is telling us, no, you're different. Then
did you target? Okay, I get the point. I understand what you're doing, and forgive the interruption, but I get what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah. And you feel like you're being treated. There's two different standards. I get that. Have you sought to have those same awareness-based advertising campaigns placed in other venues? Ballparks, newspapers, places that don't have a governmental basis or tie.
Well, so because this is sort of more or less the kickoff for our coalition, this would be the first advertising campaign we've sought. However, we do list our events in various publications around the city. Mm-hmm. So we do that. And the United CoR has certainly sought different kinds of venues all over the country for these ads, and none of them have been controversial. Well, I would say one of them resulted in a lawsuit, but they've run these ads in places like Kansas and had not an eyebrow raised to my knowledge. So I don't really think.
If the Port Authority was here, I would challenge them on the basis that I just raised a minute ago about what they want to be told rather than take the political or legal shrapnel or heat associated with that. And then believers have a problem with that, and I'm going, they're not here. That may not be their basis. I'm giving you the perception that believers have when it comes to, you know what? We believe in this as a community. We're allowed. Was it Ambridge or someplace that I saw last year when it came to the Christmas stuff? We believe in that. Our community believes in that. But you know what? We can't write the check. Now, at that point, frankly, you're not the problem to the believers, in my mind. And I'm not pointing to Port Authority specifically. The people who do that based on a check.
Well, let me just mention, the reason you asked why we picked the Port Authority, and if we go to their website, they say they're looking for businesses and organizations to advertise, and that the words they use, they're looking for new and different forms of advertising to support our system without raising fares or cutting services. And as a group, we said we use the buses. Our venues are generally on the bus line. We encourage the bus. We want to support the buses. We want to give the Port Authority money to help the bus
I'd love
system.
to believe you, Stephen. You're a great guy. I got to be honest with you. This is the next question.
Okay.
We tried to support the Port Authority by buying ads, says Nicole Curvin, coordinator, Pittsburgh CoR. That would be you. I'm skeptical again. I'm not telling you that you don't want to support the Port Authority. I'm a big public transportation guy itself. It's a total mess. I hope and pray that it gets better and gets fixed.
One of our groups is called the Steel City Skeptics. You should join it.
And my fellow humanists.
Your group,
right.
Fellow humanists.
And
skeptics.
Believe me, as again, in the legal field, there's no shortage of this. I told you off air, we had thousands of debates with some of my best friends. Many of them are probably watching right now. And saying I thought we were done with this. Now, when you say you want to support the Port Authority, God bless you, that's great. But you saw an uneven playing field, in my mind, and probably a target that was vulnerable. Because you know that being able to place it on there is effective advertising. Number two, it seems like it's reasonably priced. Number three, it allows you to be able to put awareness out there of your organization. And four, their Achilles heel is when it comes to the governmental agency or entitlement part. You could do this simple. You could do this at Consol Energy Center.
We could. And I have to admit, I was a little bit surprised by the turnout. That this ad has run in 35 different states. States like Louisiana, Idaho, Utah, Arizona. So why could they not run in Pittsburgh? I was a little bit shocked.
Well, I've tried my best to cover the issues as I see them, and would raise them, being both the host and someone whose job it is, responsibility tonight of providing an opposite point of view. I enjoyed the conversation. I look forward to seeing how it turns out, and I hope we have a chance to talk again.
We have our Festivus celebration coming up this month.
Now you're going to get me in trouble. Okay.
I hope to see you there.
Okay. I would say go to the website, and the website very quickly, once again, is
PittsburghCoR.org. That's PittsburghCoR.org. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for coming in.
Thanks.
All right. We'll be back with more right here at PCNC.